Hey everyone! So today I'm doing a book series on Jesus is Greater Than Religion. If you guys haven't heard of this book, it's by Jefferson Bethke. He has been doing YouTube videos for a while now, and it's a lot of spoken word poetry kind of things, and he kind of put it in the form of a book. This book is amazing from what I've read so far. I am going to be doing this book series, kind of going chapter by chapter, talking about what's been going on. And in this book, after the end of every chapter, there are discussion questions. So we're going to go through those. If you guys want to do a video reply or put what you want as your answer in the comments below, you can totally do that, and we can kind of do it together. So let's start. Chapter 1, we have, Will the Real Jesus Please Stand Up? And this chapter is kind of like a testimony, I guess. He kind of talks about his experiences with Jesus, and I just wrote down a couple quotes and kind of some discussion stuff, kind of what I got out of this chapter. So basically it starts out kind of like, what do you put into your faith? And that really is important, because if we aren't willing to put in anything, how do we really expect to get anything out of it? Another thing that he really tries to drive in is our identity of a Christian and the personal / selfish benefit of it. Do we put our identity in it because of our parents or because of our real and true belief in it? Another thing he talks about is moralism. How nowadays Christianity is thought of as just morals. How moralism, basically, don't do drugs, don't do sex, don't smoke. Those are like the three things a lot of people think of as morals for Christianity. And if those are the only things that you think of, and going to church every once in a while is good at being a Christian, then you really don't know what religion is about, or Christianity in general. Another thing that I really like that he brings up is the fear of silence. How our society and everyone these days is afraid of the silence. We're afraid of being quiet, of being alone, of having to actually listen to ourselves and reflect on what's going on. And it's just sad that we've been growing up in a society and in a generation that needs to have something going on at all times, and we just don't want to just be quiet. Another quote I like is on page 6, and he says, God broke me to fix me because he loves me. God is so merciful. He loves us. And the last quote I have from the book is on page 14. It says, God does have a great plan for our lives, but it probably isn't our plan. I love this quote. This is probably my favorite quote from chapter 1 so far. Just because I think everyone always is told to plan their life and to say that it's a grand thing, and, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a mom, or something like that. And that's great that you have a plan, but you should know and understand and acknowledge that God has a plan that is so beyond what you could ever imagine for yourself. And you should be open and willing to accept it and enjoy it and know that it is so great. So we're going to start discussion questions now. There are 9 of them, and I'm just going to read the question and give my answer. If you guys want to do the discussion questions in the comments below, I'm going to leave all the discussion questions in the description box. Or you guys can do a video response letting me know what you guys think of the questions. So, question 1. Jeff opens his book by saying, my true religion, as it is with most of my American peers, was just moralism dressed in Christian clothes. What do you think he means by that? Where do you see things in your life where you might see this? Now here's my answer. Moralism is more apparent, I think, in our daily lives, so we just kind of associate it with being Christian. I think, like he said earlier, that the no drinking, no sex, no smoking ideas we consider as Christian because they're more apparent, everyone can see them for the most part, and that's what everyone associates with it. But really, I think that they're just morals that we've set up to make ourselves feel good as Christians, and they kind of seem that way to everyone else. So, yeah, that's kind of my answer for number 1. It's a lot about moralism, kind of what I talked about at the beginning. And 2, how has Christianity been the default option for you in your life? I've grown up Catholic, which is Christian, and I grew up going to church every Sunday, and it's kind of been expected of us to have this as our default, but as I've grown up and kind of gone away, I've kind of accepted it as my own and made it grow as my own religion. But I think as a default, that's kind of where it started. Question 3, I do not have an answer for, but I am going to give you guys the question because I want to hear what you guys have to say. After his mom's news about her sexuality, Jeff gave up on God and rebelled. He likens his rebellion to drinking salt water. Have you ever tried to quench a thirst but realized you were at the wrong source? If so, describe what happened. As I said, I don't really have an answer for this one at the time right now, so if you guys have any experiences with this, leave it in the comments. Question 4. Why is the fear of silence the greatest fear for many of our culture, especially young adults? I kind of answered this earlier, but I think that our generation has grown up with so much technology that we've never really had to entertain ourselves. And this idea, I think, really scares us because we actually, like he said, have to face up to our actions and our thoughts and really think about it. And having all this entertainment and noise kind of blocks it out so we don't have to listen to it. And a lot of our actions, I think, and thoughts, if we let ourselves think about it, would consume us and scare us. And I think that's what scares us about silence in general. I think it really gives us an opening to our souls that not everyone's really ready for. Question 5. Have you ever interpreted the Bible as a love letter? Why or why not? For me, I've been told that you should see it as a love letter, but at this time right now, I haven't really been reading enough of the Bible and been accepting it, I guess, to knowing, to wanting to read the Bible more, to see it as a love letter. I've heard people read it like a love letter and they enjoy it so immensely. But at this time in my life, I haven't had the opportunity to yet. Question 6. Soon after he began to follow Jesus, Jeff realized he had been duped into following a safe and ineffectual Jesus, a Jesus of his own making, rather than the real one. Describe the real Jesus. I believe that Jesus is a loving God and human, but people think that he was only good. But they really have to understand that even though we do not know all of the things that happened throughout Jesus' life, because the only stuff that we know was written in the Gospels, there's so much more that happened that we just don't know. There could have been happy moments, there could have been sad moments, and that kind of goes with being fully human. He can't always be a happy person. Like, I know you aren't always a happy person. I'm absolutely not always a happy person, but being fully God and fully human, he did embrace that fully human side, and embracing that made him just real. So that's what I think of as the real Jesus. A real human and really God is just so powerful. Question 7. Jeff states that Christianity has become a financial industry. In what ways have you experienced this? Have you ever experienced Christianity rising above a consumer-driven culture? I actually don't think that Christianity is a financial industry, as is the culture, the society and the culture which believe they are Christians. Because, like you stated, people say they're Christian because of what they do and kind of what they go through in their families, because they go through the motions. And basically, this is where I think the commercialism and the financial industry kind of comes about, by people saying that, oh, this is kind of what we do as Christians. We buy presents at Christmas and Easter. And I think that's how it's come as a financial industry, because non-Christians or Christians who are not really Christian, fully Christian, want to bring more into it. So, yeah. Number 8. Have you ever been resistant to believing God's plan might include discipline for your life? How might God use trials to help you become more like Jesus? I actually think that discipline and trials are required at times in our lives, which are in God's hands, basically, because God has our will, or I think that discipline and trials are required at certain times in our lives, because if we hand our will and our plans over in God's hands, I think He's willing to test our faith to see where we are and to push us in the correct direction which He needs us to be. And despite all of our whining and trying to fight it, God really does love us, and He wants us to choose Him. He wants us to be happy, and breaking us through discipline and trials and trying to wean us down, I think really can help us get closer to Jesus and love Him even more. Question 9 is, why do Christians focus more on supposed acts of righteousness than the needs of others? So that is chapter 1 of Jesus is Greater Than Religion. If you guys like this, give it a thumbs up, and I will be doing chapter 2 later, probably next week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you want it shorter, longer, if you don't want me to answer the discussion questions, and we can kind of do it in the comments, or if you want me to do the discussion questions in a different video, let me know, and I will see you guys later. Bye!